Tulsa music stream. And now, your hosts, Scott, Jana, and Nine. You wanted the dirt on Tulsa. You got it.
Hey. How's everybody doing?
Wow.
That was quite an intro.
Well,
you got to let me count you down.
yeah,
there.
I know, but I think like last time you could still hear you coming in with your little count.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's 11:30. It's our was it episode 33? 33.
Yes.
It's a Scottie Pippen number.
Oh,
Is it?
Yes.
It is.
Wow.
Anyway, Tulsa Music Stream. I'm Scott Squires. This is Nine, and that's Jana.
Good morning.
We have an amazing show for you today, this morning, and we'll go into the afternoon.
It will probably. It's gonna be a long one, but
Yeah.
it's a great one though. So gonna want to stick around. We got Rudy Sarzo, and we have also who else do we have?
Johnny
Britny
Dee.
Fox, Johnny Dee.
Right.
And Cory Reynolds.
Cory Reynolds,
And-
local guy.
And something that fell out just a couple nights ago, we're going to have a breaking news announcement from the Normandys at the very end of the show. So that's super cool and exciting. We jumped on a little bit early because we just wanted to banter a little bit and get a little warmed up before we get this legendary man, Rudy Sarzo, in with us this morning. So we thought we'd kind of loosen ourselves up, give some shout-outs to people in the chat room. We've got Roy Green, Todd Cook, Michelle Warner, Eric Runyon, Laura Dobbs, many more. We've got a good number going in here. It's already warm in this room. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling kind of warm.
Yeah.
It's a little warm.
Not
Yeah,
bad, not bad.
absolutely.
I might step over here and do something about that. Why don't you guys?
We should encourage whoever if you have good questions out there and you want them asked, and if they're better questions than what we have, we're going to ask them. So make sure you submit your questions for Rudy Sarzo, and yeah, it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, and we also we're going to do our sponsors as well. You know, here for the intro. You want to do our sponsors?
Yeah, this is actually a really good time to
It
do
is.
that. I'm glad you thought of that. Let's give a shout out to our friends at GregShipman.com. There they are, GregShipman.com, for all of your commercial photography and music video directing needs. They do so much more than that: band promo, artist headshots, concept art, and more. Visit our friends at GregShipman.com. Got to have a nice conversation with Doug Burgess yesterday. He is getting pumped up for this Lita Ford show that'll be Saturday, June 26th at the IDL Ballroom. Doors at 7, show at 8. Tickets are $30 in advance or $35 at the door, and our friends in Straight Shot are opening for Lita that night. It's going to be a great show. Big shout out to Todd Cook at Identity Merch for handling our online store, getting those t-shirt orders out fast and furious. He's doing a great job with that. He's also a friend of Rudy Sarzo's. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but they are friends, and that's cool. So thank you, Todd, for all you do for us. And last but not least, Mr. Adam Richmond from Surviving Rocklahoma got us going on these Zoom calls. Every Zoom call you see on Tulsa Music Stream is powered by Surviving Rocklahoma. Let's come back to, gosh, where's our scene? There we are. All right. Hey.
And please, guys, those who are in the chat room, would you please share the stream on your favorite pages, your groups, whatever. Get it on out there so we can get more people in here to watch the interview. I know it's early. It's Saturday. Most of you are hungover. I get that. But we do have a YouTube channel, and we're trying to get many subscribers on that channel so people who don't chime in on Facebook as often can get the alerts and things like that on YouTube and can watch the replays whenever. We have a lot of them already uploaded there. Our early ones still need to be uploaded, but our big ones are all on there, that's for sure.
That's true.
Share them.
So, yeah, and you can share them on Facebook and help us out and maybe get some more subscribers for us. Just hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely.
Bam, 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 like
Yeah,
that.
do
Just
it.
like that.
So Scott, for you, when was your first exposure to Rudy Sarzo? What was it?
Well, I was in a gym class, and we were showering. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa, holy,
That's a different show, man.
You said
God.
exposure, and
No. For me, it was had to have been "Come On, Feel the Noise" video, which and already being a Kiss fan, that was, I mean, immediately I was a Quiet Riot fan. It was such a cool cover, and of course I was about 13 years old, but that's the first time that I saw Quiet Riot and Rudy Sarzo with them, and I don't know yet if I knew his connection to Ozzy or the Randy Rhoads story or any of that yet, but and then it turns out, as you look at all the projects that he was in, we were fans of almost every single one of them. It's crazy,
I had the Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, but I didn't think of him as touring with them at that point. But yeah, same for me was MTV blowing the hell up with Come On Feel the Noise,
right.
And then of course Metal Health, Bang Your Head. Those two videos were just like earth shaking for me. The studded belts and
absolutely.
everything, and
Absolutely.
the licking of the bass and all that. It was like at that point there was like only a few videos on MTV that I would stay up all night to watch or wait on. And this was around like the Lick It Up, when they
Sure.
had they have their makeup on, so I was always ready for any Kiss at all.
Right.
And then AC/DC, For Those About to Rock. I remember just watching that all the time and waiting for that to come on.
It's funny because in that day you had to wait for a whole day, an evening full of Duran Duran and Aha and stuff to get to the good stuff late at night.
Bananarama.
Right, right.
And then every now and then they throw out a little piece of cake for me.
Little Looks to Kill or something like that, something cool like that, man.
Oh yeah, all hell's breaking loose when I cranked that little big box TV up.
Did you ever get to see Quiet Riot with Rudy?
Actually, I did. Our band Sybil's was supposed to be on the Rock Never Stops tour, and it was supposed to be outside, and it was raining or something like that, so they had to move it into the Brink, and I think the early bands got cut, the locals, we got cut because we're against the clock and everything.
Because you're the locals.
But I stayed, and I was front row, and I was right on Rudy's side, and it was all the original members. Well, not the original, but the Metal Health original members.
Right.
And it was Tony and Frankie and all those guys. Rudy, I was on Rudy's side, and it was cool watching him play, and I got to just say hi to him, but it was real brief. I didn't get to say my name.
Right.
I think he wouldn't remember it anyway.
I think as we were discussing earlier on some threads, he was here in Tulsa with Quiet Riot with Whitesnake and Helix. And then I don't know if you were there, but I saw him play with Whitesnake on the Girls, the Motley show.
Yeah, I was there.
Right. And so, I mean,
there's a thing about him having a broken foot or something like that.
I saw that picture, yeah. I saw that picture. He shared that picture, actually. And, man, he went on to play in Dio, and he had a little stint in Queensryche with his brother. Mm-hmm. And...
yeah, we're going to get into all of that stuff. The Girls tour, that was like Whitesnake was blowing the hell up at that point.
Yeah,
and it was like they went on that tour, but they could have probably did a little headline tour themselves.
Absolutely.
At that point,
sure, they were. Yeah, absolutely. Still the night. Here
all right, guys, he is ready to come into the room. I'm going to bring him in.
All right.
Just a moment here. Let me start our virtual camera. All right, he's coming on. Looks like he's connecting to audio.
All right.
And
there he is.
Hi, Rudy. Can you hear us okay?
What are you doing?
Hey, Rudy.
We're great. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Rudy Sarzo is on the Tulsa Music
fantastic. Stream,
and we're glad to have you here.
It's a bright and early start for you.
And there.
Uh-oh. Your audio's freezing up.
I guess so. Yeah. For some reason, you know what? Let me change a couple of settings here.
Sure. Take your time.
Okay,
no
we
problem. We'll wait for you. It's all
No,
good.
it's all be fixed right now.
Okay.
It's
no
early.
Okay.
It's early in California.
Yeah. I want to thank Tim
Where
Hewitt.
are you guys at?
We are in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Where you guys? Oklahoma. Oh, that's about one time zone.
Oh yeah.
You're 2 hours behind us, so it's
really?
It's about
Wow.
11:30 here.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we can see you.
Well, it's still that's pretty early for metalheads.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. I wanted to start this show off by congratulating you and Randy Rhoads' family for the introduction into the Hall of Fame. So I just wanted to start the show off with a celebration and a big thumbs up to that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about Randy. It's his induction, deservedly so, of course. It's all I can really do is just celebrate, his induction. It's all about him.
Sure. Well, on a personal note, I would like to congratulate you on your induction into your alma mater, Miami-Dade College Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How'd that feel for you?
Well, it's being inducted or being acknowledged by the school that trained me to give me all the tools to go out there in the world and do something for myself or apply my creativity. Because, you go to school to learn rules and concepts, but it's all about the creativity, what you do with those tools that is going to make the difference in your life. So they definitely gave me the tools. And I was not aware how I was going to use them or if ever. In music, because I went there for radio, television, and motion picture, to learn mass communication. But there was no such industries in Florida, except for music, you could actually, be in a bar band. There was no real, recording industry there as, pertaining to mainstream rock and roll metal as it was known back in the 70s. So I left and I moved over to LA. And then one thing led to another. I started playing with Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot. And then he joined Ozzy. And then later on, they were looking for a bass player. They already had Tommy Aldridge when I auditioned. And I got the audition, mostly, I would say 90%, because Randy recommended me. He trusted me from knowing me and my work ethics from, not only playing in Quiet Riot, but also teaching at his mom's school in Musonia, So yeah. It's been a long history for me playing, but if it wasn't for the people in my life like Randy, who trusted me, and then he turned Ozzy and Sharon, he told them about me, and then they trusted Randy, and then eventually they got to trust me on the road. It's that, to me, it's at the core of any successful musical legacy of any individual, within the industry. Of course, people are going to have their ups and downs and conflicts with other personalities that they encounter in their career, but it's mostly based on trust that you succeed.
I think you've earned a lot of trust in the industry. Just going over some of the groups, I mean, we're children of the 80s. Every band you've been in, we've been fans of. It's kind of crazy. We were looking down the list. It's like, wow, Quiet Riot, Ozzy, Whitesnake, Dio, Queensryche. It's like, what hasn't this guy done? What hasn't he been asked? You know what I mean? So you've lived a charmed life, my friend. Yeah. I mean, of course you've dealt with tragedy too, but wow, I mean, just a charmed life, and we've watched you the whole time, and we're certainly glad to have you on today.
Yeah, and talking about Quiet Riot, it was a #1 heavy metal record. I mean, it's never been done before. You guys were the first one. What was that feeling like when you looked at the Billboard and you're on the top of the charts? I mean, that had to have been mind-blowing for you.
Yeah, it's when we started out, and even in the Randy Rhoads version of Quiet Riot, we never looked at ourselves as heavy metal. I mean, we understood what heavy metal was, even by standards of the 70s, like Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and The Who and, everything else, Black Sabbath, of course, Deep Purple, So we were never really thought of ourselves as being heavy metal. We were more actually influenced by the glam pop rock that came from England, from Mott the Hoople to Queen to Bowie,
Sweet.
Things like that. The Sweet, of course, just long list.
Yes.
and then Randy went over to England, of course, to start working with Ozzy in late '79. He left in late '79. What's interesting about that Randy's real contributions to metal were actually from the classical side, because that's when he was in Quiet Riot, when we were all playing together. His compositions were based on catering to the local record labels that were looking for pop rock acts. If we were going to be rock, it had to be pop because it had to go on the radio, and it had to fit certain parameters musically. And then once he joined Ozzy, he asked Ozzy, "What do you want me to write?" And he says, "Just be yourself." And that's when he dove into his classical background. He grew up playing classical guitar. So, and then he started playing, rock. Then by that saying, he started playing acoustic, and then he gravitated towards the electric. And that's when he became, with his sound, very aggressive and very defined, and his finger picking technique and all of that, and his muting technique, which was something that a lot of guitar players of the time didn't really have it down because of they were not using very saturated guitar tones, with Marshalls. I was talking to somebody a couple of days and I just realized that Randy did not start playing Marshall amplifiers. I mean, I did not make the connection until he started playing with Ozzy because he couldn't afford it. Wow. So, I mean, this is his original Quiet Riot rig. It's still at Musonia. Wow. It's a PV transistor head, and a cabinet with 6 JBLs in it. So they were like really brash and bright and heavy sounding. That was his tone. And then for pedals, he just used like an MXR overdrive. And I think maybe he had a flanger. He did use an Echoplex, the old kind, with the tape spinning around and stuff like that. And yes.
So tell me, in those early days, you always read, in the magazines and stuff back in the day about, you and Van Halen and Quiet Riot, in the LA scene were kind of almost rivals at that point and stuff like that. Was there any truth to that about Van Halen and Randy and Eddie Van Halen and everything?
Well, in a nutshell, no.
Good.
And I may expand on that. That is the reason why I do podcasts, and I even do my own radio show to have an oral documentation of what actually happened based on my perception, which is based on my experience. That's something that I read because I was there, And sometimes I read stuff and I go, wow, that's not what I said in the interview, and it did not really happen. Rarely do I do an interview like the one I did with Rolling Stone magazine a few months ago, that the journalist, he captured everything that I said properly. And it was really an in-depth interview. And he really cared about, it wasn't just like it was an assignment, I gravitate completely towards these podcasts because let's put it this way. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a journalist, but I am a fan. So I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to talk first as a fan. I'm going to be involved in this and really, engaged about what we're talking about. And then from experience, I'm going to give you answers. If I give you an opinion, I will let you know and say, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not a fact, So opinions should never be taken as facts. Nowadays in the media, opinions seem to be like the rule. Like if somebody has an opinion, that's the way it's got to be. Because that's their opinion, especially if you're an influencer. I'd rather stick with the facts or perceptions based on facts. I have had experiences where people in my life have been in the same place at the same time with me standing inches away through a period in my life, and they have a whole different perception of how that experience affected them.
Right.
So I respect other people's perceptions, even the ones that I used to go crazy and say, how can you think like that? You and I, we were there and we experienced this. And then I realized, you know what? Nobody can be in our place at the same time. Right here, we are one little dot in a whole 11-dimensional world, or reality.
Right.
That is not really our world right now, It's just this is what we perceive. I don't want to get too much into quantum physics, but that's how I think, and I cannot expect everybody to be taking the same space at the same time as I am and having the same thoughts and perception.
Sure. Makes sense.
It's impossible.
Rudy,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go back to Musonia. I've heard you say that Randy taught you how to teach music. Why don't
Yes.
you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. I mean, just because, you might have some information to share, when you learn how to apply academia correctly, Randy learned academia. He learned how to play music from the beginning. He learned, he followed the rules of academia, being taught.
Uh-oh. Looks like we froze.
It may come back here in just a second.
Well.
Uh-oh. There's always a risk of this kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
There he is. There you are. Hello.
Yeah.
He froze up
hello.
there for a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Continue on.
Yeah. I mean, he learned based on academia. I don't know if so anyways, so he knew how to teach from that perspective, but also he understood that the students that were coming to Musonia to learn from him were also fans, and they had certain immediate needs, which is how to connect with the music that they hear on the radio and how to play it, how to connect musically, music theory. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, Eddie Van Halen. I say Eddie Van Halen because at that time that I was teaching at Musonia, they were already recording artists. They were not just local bands anymore, Van Halen, right? Mm-hmm. So a kid might come up to Randy and say, can you teach me how to play Eruption? I'm just throwing this out, right? And Randy will go, okay, I'm going to teach you how to play Eruption, but also you must learn the theory behind what Eddie is playing. So he will break it down. He would tell the kid, I say kid because they were very young, and they were barely in their teens. And Randy would teach them how to play Eruption, and then the student would have to learn the theory behind what was being played.
Wow.
So he split it into keeping them focused and passionate about what they're learning, but also give them the tools so they can apply that knowledge to their own creativity.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring something up. There's been a lot of people close to you, and many of them helped you succeed in everything that you do. And I'm talking about, of course, Randy Rhoads and Kevin, Frankie, Ronnie James Dio, and then recently Tawny Katane. That's got to be, here you are, and all these people are now left. I mean, when you reflect on these people, I mean, it's got to be a lot of heartwarming feelings for all those people. But man, that's a big loss.
Oh yeah, and the older we get, if we're still around, the more losses we're gonna have.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where I actually understand what my responsibility is, or the responsibility of all of us who are left behind. Is to celebrate the legacy of these wonderful people, wonderful friends. The picture that you have up there. Thank you for posting that. I know exactly where it was taken and when it was taken. That's 1989 up in Tahoe. We were doing pre-production for the slip of it. Well, actually, that's the photo that we took after the record was done and we were getting ready to go on tour. Because during pre-production, Steve Vai wasn't there because he was not a member of the band yet. And so we had we spent a lot of time up in Tahoe, which is where David lives, doing pre-production of that record, Slip of the Tongue. And that was taken during that period that we were getting ready to go on the road. And these are the photos that appeared on the book, the tour book, the inside of the tour book.
Right.
That was the photo session. And so that's that's over 30 years ago. And I got to tell you, I was pretty close, and so was everybody else with Tony. Of course, she was David's wife, and we spent a lot of time, in the same tour bus. You really get to know an individual when you spend time with them in the tour bus, whether they're musicians or their partners, girlfriend, wives, whatever,
Right.
And I really like Tawny because I could relate to her. She was a survival. She worked hard. She had a vision about what she wanted to do with her life, and she just worked very hard at it. Before she met David, she was an actress. With Tom Hanks, she's in Bachelor Party, and she had a career and all of that. And then she just it's where you put your focus. So what happened was they get married. She starts making videos with Whitesnake. They get married. And then, she still pursued her career. But, I think that there was so much going on with Whitesnake at the time that she got a little bit sidetracked from her television movie career, that she just, she was enjoying life with David and Whitesnake, everything that was going around her, being in the videos. Yeah, that's the same photo session right there.
Oh, wow.
So you can see there's Steve I. So that's definitely after we finished the record. Yeah.
Hey, Rudy, do you think that Randy's death for you at such a young age, I don't want to say prepared you for, the deaths that came later in life, but dealing with, what you were about a 30-year-old man, I guess, when Randy died. Now, how did that help with your perspective, or you're dealing with, the deaths of people in the future, like, Kevin Dubrow or someone like that?
Yeah. No. It took me really decades to learn how to get closure, really. The first step towards closure that I was not expecting was actually writing the book Off the Rails. Once I wrote down, the last page, the end, this immediate weight came off my shoulders, and because everything that was weighing me down from that experience was now on paper, or on my laptop. There it is. I don't have to be carrying this with me anymore. But I did. See, but what happened was, so I'm not carrying this pain, this experience on my shoulder. And what's really interesting is that the bad experience doesn't happen until chapter 19. There's 18 chapters of pure joy. Randy is alive, and he's in my life, and through all these chapters, and then for 4 chapters about his loss, and I really, I've learned how to put the focus on my perception on the joy, those 18 chapters, respect, his death, acknowledge it. Yes, it happened. And, but I learned because I needed to, and I found a way how to disconnect myself from the pain. Because boy, that pain, nobody should ever feel that pain that we felt.
Well, I think I heard you.
I
think I heard you call it hopelessness once in an interview.
Hopelessness, yeah. Somebody mentioned the word hopelessness, and I say, yes, exactly what we went through. This is going on, and then there's nothing you can do about it because it's happening, and you have no control.
Now,
and actually, it happened. It happened before I became aware of it. So I woke up to the event going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you're how great that Quiet Riot did, and how big you guys were just coming up and just doing all these fantastic things. And Randy, I believe, wasn't around to see that. And I always thought, what if he didn't pass, would Randy ever come back home to Quiet Riot?
Well, Ozzy was just as much his home too.
Sure.
Or even more, because that version of Quiet Riot, as important as it was to to all of us that were part of it and witnessed it and were inspired by it with Randy Rhoads. Of course, it was just, I see it as a step towards Ozzy. I mean, you know, let's say Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page played in the Yardbirds. But everybody talks about Led Zeppelin. You know, yes, the Yardbirds were important for Jimmy Page, but Zeppelin is his home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really believe that the Randy Rhoads, that everybody, not just the people around LA that might have seen him play live at the Starwood or the Whiskey, you know, I'm talking about the global impact that he has, is because he was in the Blizzard of Oz, and he made those two incredible records, you know, that still stand today.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about when you got that call for the Ozzy gig. What did that feel like that you had gotten that gig, and B, that you were playing alongside one of your best friends?
Yeah, when I first got the first call to come and audition came out of nowhere. I was living with Kevin. He had a spare bedroom, and I was sleeping on the floor and playing with him in Dubrow so I could pay the rent and play with him. You know, I enjoy playing with him, of course. And that band Dubrow is the missing link I don't think it's missing anymore because people are becoming aware of that. Dubrow is, when Randy leaves Quiet Riot, that brand ceased to exist for that period. And then Kevin continued with Dubrow, which is basically Kevin singing and then with the rotating, band members, you know. Yeah. And I was one of them, and I played for a long time in Dubrow, right up until me joining Ozzy, you know. So I get the phone call, and it's Sharon asking me to come down and audition. In addition to me playing with Dubrow, I was also playing in Angel, which is the band that I was very happy being a member of the band, but we didn't have a record deal. So I wasn't making any money from Angel, so I was still sleeping on the floor. But, you know, I was committed, and I was to be, you know, my decision, you know, I just off the hip, you know, I said, oh, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I'm in a band already, and blah, blah, blah. And then she hangs up the phone. and then Kevin goes, who was that? And I go, oh, that was Ozzy's manager, Sharon, asking me to audition. And he goes, and you're going to go? And says, no, I'm playing with Angel. And he starts yelling at me, you're crazy. Why did you do that? You could have been playing with Randy again. And then it's like, oh, man, yeah, wow. So, you know, I didn't think they were going to call me the next day, but the next day, Ozzy called me. You know, cool. And so I went down to audition, and here I am.
Hey, Rudy, I want to ask you something about Kevin. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on Kevin. It's no secret that he tended to throw shade on other bands and did that openly in the press. And from everything I've read, that definitely was a point of contention between he and you. And I want to know, do you feel like Kevin did that because he genuinely felt like the bands coming up after you guys were just blatantly ripping you off, or do you feel like it went a little bit deeper for him? What did he struggle with? A lot of insecurity from what you could tell?
Well, you know, my perception from my own experience, you know, I played with three different Kevins. I played with Kevin, who was in the singer in Quiet Riot, Randy Rhoads era. And when I joined the band, I saw him as Randy's biggest cheerleader.
Sure.
It was all about Randy. He really, as a matter of fact, he wrote Slick Black Cadillac because Randy challenged him to write a good song. So he came up with that, which I think is a classic. I love playing that song. And it's the only song that made it from the Randy Rhoads era to the Mental Health record, you know. So that's Kevin number one. Kevin number two, Kevin learning how to go on stage without Randy, because it was a pair. It was like, imagine Mick Jagger without Keith Richards. You know, it's a whole different Mick Jagger. Sure. You know, you know, or Jimmy Page without Robert Plant. Even in our eyes, it's like it's not the same, you know. So he had to deal with that. How am I going to become Kevin DuBrow? And I think that was really a great learning and define who he became. Once it was, okay, I'm going to concentrate on me. I'm going to concentrate on writing my music, my songs, putting my vision of what I want musically. Of course, he had to depend, you know, he was really a band guy. He wasn't much about, you know, being a soloist, you know. He was pretty much into that. And then there's Kevin in the mental health era, which is, you know, the Kevin that most people know or experience, you know, or read things that he said and things like that. That the anger, it wasn't really about bands thinking that they were ripping Kevin thinking that bands were ripping him off, especially because the focus was after Mental Health became the first debut album from to metal album to go #1.
Right.
Even before that, as the record was going up the charts, there was attention being placed on the Sunset Strip bands that had been overlooked, while the music industry in LA was focused on new wave and punk. So all of a sudden it's like, whoa, these guys are going up the charts. Let me see what else is out there. Of course, there was already a Motley Crue going around. There was already a Rat, different incarnations, like Mickey Rat turned into Rat, and then you have Dokken that went through different players. But there was a scene. It was all of us that had been around from the 70s, survived the new wave and punk somehow, and then went on to the 80s. But so what happened was that the Quiet Riot deal that we had was with a production company. Once you sign a production company deal, what happens is the production company owns the masters or strikes some kind of a deal with a major label that maybe they co-own the master or whatever. It's also flexible, right, that there's not real standard. But what happens is if you sign a production deal as an artist, as a band, like we did with Quiet Riot, each individual, we were signed to this production deal that our percentage is based on the percentage of what the distributor, the major label who has the marketing and distribution and the pressing of vinyl or CDs or whatever other format, then it's a piece of a pie that they take a chunk out of, and then we take a piece. So it's actually minimal in comparison to somebody who's actually signed directly to a major label, especially at a time where now they are looking for these type of bands. And there could be, now there's interest. Yeah. When Quiet Riot signed that Mental Health record deal, there was no interest in what we were doing. We couldn't even get management to, the manager, we had to convince the old Quiet Riot manager, Warren Etner, who had retired, and to come out of retirement to manage us. And there was no promise of how big the record was going to make, if anything, So he said, okay, I'll do it. We had to talk him into it. Nobody believed on that record or in the genre that record was about. Meanwhile, I had been touring with Ozzy in England. I've been aware, I've experienced. We were part of the new wave of metal that was coming from England. We had bands like Motorhead,
Saxon,
Def Leppard. We toured with Saxon. Well, not with Ozzy, but I'm talking about pre-Mental Health. Okay. So my experience with Ozzy was, I knew that there was something coming. That at least if what we did in Quiet Riot might not take off in the U.S., we could go out to Europe, England, and do something for ourselves. Maybe concentrate on that market. But as it happens, MTV came along, and they needed content. So we had a couple of videos. We had Metal Health, the video for that song, and that was the first one. It did okay. It did okay. And then along comes Come and Feel the Noise, and that's the one that MTV really jumped on.
Yeah, it was huge.
Oh yeah,
huge.
Listen, before that song, it was Kiss. Kiss is why we started playing. But then that video right there, that just blew our minds.
Yeah.
Come On, Feel the Noise really sent
Yeah.
the process of being a musician into motion.
Yeah, it made us want to stay up at night waiting for your video to come on because we didn't like anything else they were playing half the time except some Def Leppard here and there. But when Quiet Riot came on, it was like, hell yeah, you guys had the studded belts and just had the look, and it was cool, it was fun, and it was like, it was heavy rock. Man, we loved it. So
we had that budget, low budget metal look. Yeah.
I mean, you guys have done so much, and Quiet Riot has continued on even after the deaths of Kevin and Frankie. What is your opinion about the current lineup of Quiet Riot? They just mentioned or came out with a bunch of tour dates, and they're going to go on tour. What's your feelings about all that?
Well, my perception, again, is based on having been there from like the very beginning, dating back to the Randy Rhoads era of the band.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because in a way, even though Kevin and I had come from the Randy Rhoads era to the new version of Quiet Riot, it was also, if you look at the back of Metal Health, it's dedicated, that record, dedicated to Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From copy number 1, that could have been the only copy that ever got sold, just one record. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how many records we thought we could sell or reach, the masses with. That record, our consciousness was based on celebrating Randy's memory by making that record, which is the reason why how I rejoined the band, because I looked at it as two different entities, that first version with Randy and the second version with Kevin, was because I got a call from Kevin while I was still a member of Ozzy to come in and record as a tribute to Randy on a possible record to be released at a later date, Thunderbird, which I played with him in Dubrow. He wrote that song for Randy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Love it.
He wrote that song for Randy when Randy left Quiet Riot to join Ozzy. And I said, tribute. He asked me to come in. I said, of course I played that song with him. That's my bass line, on the record of that song.
Right.
And I mean, bass line that I, I came up with that bass line. So anyways, so from the very beginning, there was a consciousness collectively of the people that participated on that record to celebrate Randy's memory, and the stamp of that is its own dedication in the back of the record to his memory. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. There's clearly it's hard. You've spent the last 40 years talking about Randy Rhoads. I mean, and why not? I mean, you've kept that flame alive, and really you didn't have to. He was such a virtuoso that But I want to know: do you think after Speak of the Devil that there would have been a third studio album with Randy, or was he planning on leaving and going back to college?
Yeah. One thing that I want to make very clear, and that again, this is from my perception based on experience of being there. Because, when you ask me, what do I think? Some people can give you an answer to that same question based on opinion, but I'm going to give it to you based on what my life is about.
Right. Yeah.
And my respect and celebrating Randy's memory is not just based on his musicianship Of course, that speaks for itself. His musicianship. That's the side that people know, that that know his music, and you can learn a lot about an individual by the music that they create. But it's a different experience once you are occupying a near space. Again, not having the same perception, but you are in the same pace. You're in the company of, and you're sharing a journey together, right? You really get to know the person, and there's certain things, like from the very beginning, I understood how important was in my life the fact that Randy trusted me to put his reputation with Ozzy and Sharon to bring me into the band.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be forever grateful for that. That trust. I mean, this is something, without that trust, we might not be having this conversation.
Right.
Because he might not have, like, right now, there's a very short list that I have of people that I know that anybody can say, hey, Rudy, I need a drummer. Can you recommend somebody? And my list is very short, because these are the people that I really trust, And so having said that, I owe Randy my career, and I owe Randy my life, because I was there at the crash. And I know from my experience with the crash, and I know from the immediate information that was shared by the band members and our tour manager. I would say band member, I would say Don Airy, and tour manager, who were the two witnesses to the crash, the events that happened, that I am completely convinced 1,000% that Randy Rhoads saved the lives of those that were asleep in the tour bus.
Wow.
Ozzy, Sharon, Tommy, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
So my celebrating Randy goes beyond his musical achievement, and that's enough in itself.
One of my future questions was, I was going to ask you what kind of friend Randy was, but I mean, I don't even need to ask that now.
You just answered it.
And you just answered that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a major loss, not only for music fans, but just music in general, because there was just so much growth that we could have witnessed ourselves and the music community and everything. It was just a major loss. And again, all the ones that you've played with, Ronnie James Dio, all these people, were just major influences in this music scene. And I give them everything, because if it wasn't for those people, we wouldn't be able to play in our local shows and things like that, because
it influenced us.
Absolutely.
But I want to ask you one more question, then we're going to get to some we have some people in the chat room that are watching, and we have quite a few people been watching you through this interview, and they have some questions. I just have one more question, and I don't know if Janet has one, but I want to know if you and Chuck Wright, do you guys talk? Do you get along with Chuck?
I get along with everybody. We talk, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of musicians that I play with. First of all, I've never played with Chuck, so we don't have that
bond.
I mean, we've never been in the same tour bus, which is, if you ask me, the people that I know, the first thing that comes to my mind is sitting in a tour bus, not on stage, because we don't talk on stage. I mean, we play, and we actually recreate things that we, let's say slip of the tongue tour. We're all on, we're on stage. We're recreating what we just did in the studio. Mm-hmm. So we're not there's no really new information coming out of us. It's just a performance, basically, with certain flares. We play different every night, but it's the same thing, right? Okay. And so it's a whole different experience. I mean, it's there's a lot of bass players that have been through, besides Chuck, through Quiet Riot.
Yeah.
And unless I happen to be on tour, or even on the same tour, not necessarily in the same band, then it creates another layer of camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, every single musician that has been with Quiet Riot, and helped to to keep the legacy alive, I have the total respect and admiration for them.
Sure.
Sure.
Well, like Scott said, there's some viewer questions, but I want to make sure that I read this one viewer comment to you because this is special. This is from our friend Stevie Shea Holt. He's a local bass player here, and he got to meet you in recent years. And he said, he, meaning Rudy, you, told me that faith was a big thing for him going through life. And that meant a lot hearing that from him. I will never forget that. It's always in the back of my mind. If Rudy can keep faith through his lifestyle of rock and roll, I can too. So thank you for inspiring our friend Stevie. That's great.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, it's not just about in music. It's about everything in my whole life. You know, it's fine. And every day I discover layers and about God's laws of the universe and try to follow that.
Nice.
You know?
When it's your time, Rudy, what do you want to be known for the very most? I mean, it doesn't have to be music at all. Everybody that I've ever talked to that's any contact with you is class is the first word. A great guy, a humble guy. So above everything that you've done musically, I think that's the most important thing. But what do you want to be known for when it's your time?
Well, I truly believe I haven't accomplished that yet. What I like to be known for, because if I did, it's over. You know, I'm not retired.
Good answer.
Well,
You know,
let me rephrase it then. What do you think when you go that you're going to be known for musically first?
What do I think? Oh my God! See, then again, you're asking me for an opinion.
You've done so much.
I've been shying away from opinions lately that I can't even wrap my head about telling you something that by the time somebody might listen to this a week from now, I would have said something different.
Right, it could change.
So, it could change. It changes every day as I grow. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. It's a question to be answered on my deathbed.
There you go.
Let's hope
Ask me
that's
that
not
question.
anytime soon.
Ask me that question on my deathbed, and I might give you an answer.
But really, your answer is great because to me, that just says you're just striving to get better every day, which is what we all should want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doug Weber. Doug Weber in the chat room wants to know about your signature Spectre bass.
Yes, it's right here.
You got it right next to you.
Wow, let's see it.
I was just. That's the question I've been waiting for all morning.
You got it.
It's right here. It's right here.
Ooh,
It's right
beautiful.
here.
That is beautiful.
It's right here, and it's a beautiful bass, and there's a little story behind this. I've been playing Spectres for about 10 years now, and they asked me a few years ago to come up with a signature model, and of course, you know, we came up with one, and I really gave it a lot of thought. And these meetings usually happen at NAMM show, you know. So at NAMM, it's a process. So let's say if they ask you to do something today at NAMM, it might not be like 2 NAMMs later. That's something that you're going to see a product being premiere, you know, released. And so that NAMM, they asked me to come up with a signature model. And I really, you know, this is a classic shape, and this is the reason why this instrument sounds the way it does, and it feels when you play it and so on. It's like a Fender, you know, Fender, you know, you really, you know, those iconic instruments like this one, you really don't want to mess with it.
Right.
You know, it is what it is, and that's the reason why you're playing it, and, you know, so you don't want to come up with something too foreign as far as the legacy of the instrument, right? So I thought, okay, how about some pickups, electronics, because we can always go there with that. And so what on my way out, as I was leaving, you know, I ran into a friend of mine who took me over to a company that was called Sims Electronics. And they had the quad pickups that you could actually change the configuration and so on. So I thought, wow, that's really cutting edge. So that was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Recently, at a NAMM show, 2019, I went over to visit my friends at Fishman, this company, Fishman and they also do my preamp for my other signature bass, which is an acoustic bass from Sawtooth. So I went over to say hello, and I saw the Spectre hanging on the wall, and I picked it up. Of course, I had to, and I started playing it, and I started listening to these pickups, and I go, "This is amazing! What's going on here?" So they explained to me the whole technology behind it, and what I really, besides how great these pickups sound, is the fact that the preamps, it's a system. The preamps go together with the pickups.
Wow.
Where there's a lot of pickup manufacturers that you can actually put whatever preamp you want to match your pickup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, a signature model should be exactly what you play
Right.
on stage. This is my stage bass, and this is exactly what a production model is, right?
It's a beautiful bass.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah,
Teresa,
so it's the same system. Yeah, so there you go.
Rudy, I'm a bass player as well, and I have two questions for
wow.
you. One of
Yes,
them
sir.
is, how big is your bass collection? And the second one, I want to ask you about the Washburn R70. Do you still have one of those?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
I have
do you?
a red stripe one. And that's a consumer model. The model that I played with Quiet Riot was was actually the prototype, and it was too costly to make it into a production model. So that's why mine had different electronics and things like that.
I see.
So nice.
Teresa Weber in the chat room says, "What you'll be known for is licking your bass."
I probably will. There could be worse things than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of funny.
Hey, I want to know about when you had to learn the songs from Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Mad.
Yes.
I had to work on some Bob Daisley bass lines, and I listened to
Yeah.
the isolated bass lines. And I was like, holy hell, this guy is all
Yeah.
over the place, man. And
Yeah.
it felt like listening to Tribute, you maybe put your own spin on the stuff. You learned the basic parts of the song and maybe put your own spin on the songs.
No, actually, when I learned those songs, I went on YouTube, and I actually got to.
Right, good one, touche.
Yeah,
That's good.
we didn't have YouTube back then, did we?
No, not at all.
Good one. That's
No,
funny.
we had ears back then, which is
That's
what I
right.
learned how to use when as a kid, because I never had any formal lessons, so everything that I knew, and the turning point for me was somebody teaching me how to tune.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I said, "Oh, no wonder I couldn't." Oh, you got to tune this thing. Oh, okay, great. That makes sense.
Hey,
Okay.
I should mention to you, we have a mutual friend, Todd Cook. He's
Todd, yeah,
yeah, he's a great guy. I'm sure
He
he's
is.
in here watching this, but you pulled out your Spectre bass, and I immediately thought of Todd because he has a massive collection of Spectre basses,
Yeah.
and I know he and you have
Yeah.
hung out before, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I got about 5 or 6 Spectres. Yeah,
Wow.
I have basses of all. These are all my children, and they all have different personalities, and they'll fit with different bands. It's like even players. I mean, if you take one player out of here and you put him in another band, it might not be the same qualities musically.
Sure.
Coming out of the bass player. So it's the basses, their instruments. They have their own little voices, and
Hey, Rudy,
and-
what is are you a partner in a coffee company, a Cafe Habana?
yes. But for me to say partner, it's the guy who does all the creativity, who really understands how to make things work. It's Brian. And he's the luxury chef. If anybody wants to check him out, that's his name on social media, the luxury chef. And he's the one who, he's been doing it. See, I've been drinking coffee longer than him because he's much younger. So I got that going for me. Yeah. And what we try to capture is the essence of what coffee tasted like to me, my perception of coffee when I was living in Cuba.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because we children, we grew up with coffee. Of course it's milk and coffee. So it's
Sure.
not, it's a little diluted, but it's not as strong as a one shot of espresso, but still we grew up with that flavor. and the smell of it. A lot of times, before I drank it, I smelled it for a long, long time, and I couldn't wait to taste this because it smells so great, So that's what that's our vision to create with this coffee is that experience that will take your senses back to an era that coffee tasted different. Commercial coffee, the coffee that you would buy in the store, tasted and smelled different than what's available today.
Right.
Hey,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, we've talked a lot about Randy, and we've talked about Carlos and everybody. But what was it like to play with Steve Vai? I mean, great guitar player. You got any good memories playing with that guy?
Of course. Yeah. I again, I'm a fan, and I've been a fan of music longer than I've been a professional musician. So anytime, that I play with musicians, I'm really a fan of just about everybody I play with. As a matter of fact, I can't even recall somebody that I'm not a fan of. Even to me, it's a personal emotion. I'm not a fan of musicians because they're famous or everybody likes them, or no. I'm a fan of a lot of unknown people. That's how you. That was like my most rewarding experience growing up, listening to bands for the first time when nobody even knew about them. And I say, I'm a fan of these guys.
Right.
And I'm hoping that nobody else will find out about them because I want it to be like their biggest fan,
Right.
So, so playing with Steve, I was aware of his trajectory, especially his Frank Zappa years. And I've always been intrigued by Frank. I mean, how that mind works, and its accomplishment. So that's what I spend most of the time talking to Steve about, trying to get in there and somehow, live through him what it was like to be in Frank Zappa's band.
Wow.
Hey, Rudy, you've been so gracious with your time. I want to end on a topic that I'm pretty sure is going to make you smile. And I'm going to put this picture up here, and I'll bet it makes you smile. Let's talk about, there it is. Let's talk about your love for animals and your love for dogs. You are very actively involved in being an advocate for animals. Tell us how and when your love for animals developed and what you're currently involved in that realm.
Yeah, that's Tori. That's our also known as Tuca. That was our third Yorkshire. Our Yorkie today is baby Willow.
Oh, let me put that back on the screen. Is your baby around there now?
Oh, she's asleep somewhere.
Oh, that's
with
fine.
her mama.
Feed her.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And no, I mean, all I do is reshare information of what shelter animals are available. It could be anywhere in the world. It's shelter, because I got followers from everywhere in the world, on social media. So you never know. And I got to tell you, it's so rewarding to get messages from people telling me, "Oh, I just adopted that could be a cat or could be a dog. I've been posting rabbits lately. Whatever comes through my feed, and I look at it and it touches me. They'll touch me. So I just share it. You just never know who's looking for a rabbit, to rescue. That's right. So that's what I do. But the real heroes, my own personal heroes, are the people that invest their life. Go down and either have shelters like Linda Blair has her own shelter, and a friend of mine, Stacy Poitras, he's married to Allison Eastwood, so it's Clint Eastwood's daughter, and they have a massive organization, shelter, and I mean this is what they devote their lives.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you're in good company here. You're looking at three animal lovers here, and we just we not only respect you as a musician that has accomplished so much, but just as being a good human being. We're so grateful for our time with you today.
And one more thing, there's someone in the chat room that says that they have a friend. Her name is Kimberly McCrae. She says that my friend Stan Watts did the Metal Health album cover artwork.
Wow.
Yeah, magnificent. Yeah, there's a little history behind that. Stan Watts also did the Pasha Records logo.
Oh wow!
Which is actually, if you Google Pasha Records, you're going to see a running man, and the model for that was actually Apollo Creed. from the
Wow.
Rocky movies.
Wow.
That was
Really?
him. Yeah, that was him. And he did some beautiful artwork. And okay, so we had the concept. I'm a big Alexander Dumas fan, and The Man in the Iron Mask I had been reading that book while on tour with Ozzy, so it was really fresh in my mind, and about the experience of The Man in the Iron Mask. So we wanted to create a universal character as the logo. And I said, how about a universal headbanger who wears an iron mask because, he's been locked up, like we felt metal had been locked up, all this
Right.
time in a padded cell, and to protect him from like banging his head. That's about the headbanger.
Right.
The universal headbanger, he wears this protective mask.
Wow.
So he doesn't injure himself, And so we gave that concept to Stan, and he took photos of certain poses wearing a jacket reverse, leather jacket in reverse. And he sent us a proof sheet, and we as a band, we went over to Pasha Studios, and we looked at all of them, and immediately everybody went right to the cover as we know it, and then what he did is he airbrushed it, because that originally what we saw was a black and white.
Oh, wow.
Then he airbrushed everything, and what an artist! I mean, he captured the essence.
I always like that.
of it all.
The guy's wearing you guys' pins on his jacket, the little
Yeah.
the little pins.
Yeah, those are actually pins that we had.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Listen, Rudy, we've talked about the past. What's up with the Guess Who? You guys going to be going back out on the road playing?
Oh yeah. We all the shows we had last year got rescheduled for this year, and then they added more shows. So it's like I'm busier this year than ever, and but I've been busy all this time. I've been busier. My God, playing on so many people's records and tracks and collabs and writing my own music. I just released a video of a song that I recorded everything, and I wrote everything and did the video, and it's called Tears of the Immigrant.
Oh, cool.
I just released it. It's on YouTube and all my social media, and I did that as from gratitude to my parents, and to acknowledge, all the families out there all over the world that who are in their pursuit of happiness and liberty.
Yes.
You spoke of collaborations, and you've done so many. Our last show was with Tim Ripper Owens.
Oh, I love Tim.
And you have done stuff with him.
Oh my God, I traveled. We slept in the same. We were on the Trans-Siberian Railroad, traveling through Russia, and you get like 2 guys per little. It's a compartment. It's like there's 4 beds, and we use the top bed for our luggage. So we got 1 guy here and then 1 guy across, which is actually, it's like being on a tour bus, because except we didn't have the curtains, And in the middle of the night, there would be like the train keeper, whoever, because there's one person looking out, making sure everybody's behaving on the train, on that certain cart, and then they come in with breakfast or some kind of like, and we don't speak Russian, so we were having like problems communicating with them, but it was so much fun. What a great
awesome.
guy. I love
Very
him.
cool.
Love him. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on our show.
Yes.
Everyone here at Tulsa Music Stream really appreciates you. And, I want to say one misconception about Quiet Riot. What the news people say that Condition Critical was a failure as to mental health, and I think that's bullshit, because it was this it went platinum, and I think anytime you do platinum is
Yeah,
that's not a failure.
Actually, it is multi-platinum now. No, but again, it's perception. Whatever you think, that's
It's
your
opinion, like you said. It's an opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
hey,
there are facts that back it up. The fact that it was not a failure because it reached such multi-platinum status, but the perception was that it did not reach the same or higher status of a record that is a historical musical landmark as far as what it achieved. So how can you compete with that?
Magical Mystery Tour wasn't Sgt. Pepper. So
Exactly.
Rudy,
But
we want to thank you so much for being a gentleman, for coming on, for all of it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And as a fellow bass player, much respect. Thank you for all the years of service.
Absolutely.
Here's
Thank
your
you so
Ronnie
much.
James Dio horns up to you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Best wishes, and we'll be in touch with you, and we'll be supporting everything you do in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you so
for your
much.
time.
Rudy Sarzo,
God bless you
everybody.
all.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
day.
God
God bless.
Thank you, Rudy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
There you go.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Rudy Sarzo. Wow.
What a great guy. My
I
goodness.
just got him to do the Ronnie James Dio
Yeah, you
thing.
did.
That's so great. So Johnny Dee is being super cool. I dropped him an email and I said, hey, we might be a few minutes late. He said, no worries. I don't know about you guys, but I need to very quickly take a break, and then we're going to come back right away with Johnny Dee.
Britny Fox, Dora Pesh coming up.
Yeah, and it's going to be a short break. Give us about 5 minutes, and we'll be right back here with Johnny Dee on Tulsa Music Stream. I'm looking for my break scene. There it is. We'll be right back, guys. Thank you so much.
I just hate it when the girl says, wait, wait, wait. I really want her by my side, don't hesitate. I really want her by my side, the whole night through. We do all the things I wanna do. Well, come on, baby, don't leave me saying, 'cause you're good looking, the best I had. Make it love, 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 make it love, love. All night long, make it love, love, make it love. All night.
there's the man right there, Johnny Dee
What's up?
from Doro
What's
and
up,
Britny
people?
Fox. How you doing, bud?
Good. How you doing?
Man, we're just
Doing
hanging
good.
in there. Thank you for joining us. So you are in Germany, so you are 7 hours ahead. It's getting what, close to the 8 o'clock hour over there?
Yeah, it's 20 to 8, and on a nice sunny day, thank God.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got that going
So-
over here in Oklahoma
cool.
too, man.
Thank you for your patience.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Definitely.
I want to start this off with this congratulations to, I guess it's what, a 27-year anniversary for your Britny Fox debut album? Or is it 28?
It's a 27. I think it's more than that. It's like 33 or something. I can't
wow.
count anymore, but
Maybe it's
believe
33.
88
Whatever that
plus-
math is, right?
Yeah. Somebody want to get a calculator?
About,
Yeah.
about 33 years.
Yeah, it came out in
Yeah.
1988 on June 6th, but
33, yeah.
it's an anniversary and that's a milestone.
Yeah, big time.
Unbelievable, man. It's hard to imagine that it's been that long, but people are still playing it and digging it, and that's the coolest part of it all, is that it's actually still out there,
Yeah.
Most definitely.
It's a hard-hitting album. I mean, you guys did a lot with that thing. It was blowing up on MTV, and you were right there in the thick of it all. And I mean, Headbangers Ball, with everything. It was
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah, we caught, I kind of feel like we caught one of the last waves of that era.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
were pretty lucky to have to be able to do what we did, at least, because things changed quite a bit after that.
They
But
did,
that was
man.
an amazing.
They did. That's a
Amazing.
good segue into something. One of the topics I wanted to hit with you today was, you were in that segment of bands that blew up in the late 80s and we're cruising into the 90s, and here comes grunge and Nirvana and bands like that. And all of a sudden, bands like yours and bands that I love from that ilk and that era were kind of tossed to the wayside. So, needless to say, when you got the offer to join Doro, I mean, was it at that point, did you see the writing on the wall, and was it a no-brainer to just pick up your life and move to Germany and go do that gig? I mean, did you even have to think that much about taking that offer?
Well, there was enough time in between to really, like it wasn't like I jumped out of the drowning Britney ship right into Doro. I mean, this was like, let's say 92. From 91 into 92, we were trying to support our third album, Bite Down Hard. We were out doing, roughing it on tour, doing a van tour, and trying to sustain, what we could. And we pretty much did, we drove it into the ground as much as possible. But at some point, we just kind of looked at each other and said, this is, it's just too hard, to come off of a couple arena tours and then to go into a headlining situation with Dean previously, and then going, changing singers and doing a van tour. It was just like, man, what's the next step? We're going to be like, on the street corner trying to make a few bucks,
Sure.
So we just we said, let's just head home, take a break, and just see what the hell we can do here. Nobody really knew what was going to happen at that point. Only thing we knew was that not as many people were coming to 80s band shows anymore, so there was this just wave. So I went home, and I was home for maybe, I don't know, 6-7 months, and I actually had to pick up some other work and stuff. I was working a couple bullshit jobs and just trying to figure out what was happening and what was possible and making a few bucks to survive. And then that's when the Doro thing kind of appeared. So I was well ready to go at that point. And it wasn't, I wouldn't have, I wanted to try to take Britney as far as we could go with Tommy Paris as a singer, because we really loved the Bite Down Hard album, we wanted to push that thing as much as possible and get it in everybody's ears. But
Right.
when it wasn't possible anymore, and then the gig came along, I was definitely all up for it.
Now I'm seeing some, news feeds out there about a possible reunion. I don't know if that's Billy Childs that's coming up with that, or I've seen a lot of talk where there might be some sort of interest in a Britny Fox reunion. Do you get any word of that, or?
Yeah. I guess, it's kind of the same as it has always been. It's always been just talk. But I don't know what Billy, maybe he was trying to be proactive or trying to get something going just by throwing it out there. But when it comes to Dean, it's been proven many, many times over that he's just not into it. And he hasn't been since the day he left, really. And he's got a real, a thorn in his side about it, and he just, for some reason, he just wants nothing to do with the whole situation. So I know Billy was talking about trying to get a hold of him and stuff, but to me it just seemed weird to do an interview to say that you were thinking about trying to contact Dean about an original lineup reunion, and so far, that's not happening. I don't expect it to. I would love it to. I've always been open for it. And I think that would be the coolest, option for the fans.
Right.
And I think it would be fun for us. But unfortunately, not everybody sort of looks at it that way.
Especially with a resurgence of 80s rock, it kind of came back, after the 90s wave. There was, a demand for it, especially with all the festivals and the Rocklahomas and all this that's going on, and a lot of bands come back and still doing it and doing their thing. And I personally would love to see you guys get back out there and doing it, and just like you said, doing it for the fans. It puzzles me about Dean, why he feels the way he feels. And was there anything any bad blood that ever happened between you guys, and where he just said enough is enough, or was it just the music business as a whole?
Well, for some reason, it was always kind of bad blood. I mean, for a guy, I'm still kind of, dumbfounded about it, because for a guy that basically thought of the whole concept, he formed a band around himself and Michael Kelly Smith, and Tony Destra was the original drummer in the band, and those two guys were booted out of Cinderella. So basically Dean had himself a vehicle with half of Cinderella's original sound to start a band and to do what he ended up accomplishing with Britny Fox with the first album. And, a lot of it was his original idea. A lot of it was his original songs. To basically do all that work and to take something from nothing to what it became. And then at the height of it, or maybe at a little bit of a lapse of the height of it, our second album just kind of didn't really take us further than the first. He started to really just lose all sight of what we accomplished and wanted to basically change it into something else. I mean, at that point on the second record, he was claiming that he wanted to be more, more organic sounding and more like the Black Crowes, for example, or the Stones and stuff like that. I think because Tom Kiefer had taken things in a different direction.
Right.
With Cinderella, he was kind of following that trip, and so really the bad blood was always kind of under the surface, and he just seemed to resent the rest of the band for something. I guess it was really just an ego thing, because it was always about him. and I did this and I did that, and it just went against having, you know,
He was a me
people.
monster.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it happens all the time, and the ones that kind of give people the space to do their thing are the bands that end up lasting.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but this thing was just, you know, it was like he didn't get it his way, so he wanted to basically jump ship and start over again, and that's kind of what he did to
That's very
all
unfortunate.
of our surprise.
I listened
Yeah.
to a recent interview with you, and you commented about how you guys were out there touring on the debut album, the first album, and it had gone gold, and that then it approached the 800,000 copy sales mark, and I think you said CBS wanted to pull you guys off the road because they wanted another album. And I heard you comment that you felt like if you guys could have stayed out there a little bit longer, maybe released another single, that debut album could have gone platinum. Is that maybe one of your biggest regrets from your Britny Fox era, is that you didn't have a chance to push for a platinum album with that first one?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we didn't really have, you would think we would have some, you know, bargaining chips
Right.
at that point, because we did do so well, and the label obviously were like flabbergasted. I mean, I don't think they ever expected the record to do even what it did. But then when they pulled us off the road and started talking about a second record, it was just like, you got to be kidding me, you know,
Yeah.
because the third single, Save the Week, didn't really ignite anything. So it was obvious that the ballad, power ballad that we had wasn't going to kick the field goal for us. So, you know, we thought another rock tune might be the one, and we all kind of agreed on that, even our manager, but we didn't really have the, you know, the sledgehammer to come down on them hard enough to tell them that they're really making a bad call, you know.
Sure. That's-
It's always tough because you don't want to ruffle feathers, and then you get, you know, then we would have gone into the second album with some really bad vibes, and who knows what would have happened at that point. But in the end, yeah, definitely for me a regret to not have been able to, you know, hit with another
Sure.
kick-ass rock track, maybe a good video that would have kind of done with what Girl School did again or something.
Right.
You know, I know that you're from the Philadelphia area, and my mother actually grew up in Catholic Philadelphia in the 40s. And also, before I get to my question, you reminded me of something funny when you started talking about, you know, ex-members of Cinderella. You reminded me of Pat's Chili Dog commercial. You know what I'm talking about.
Did you guys play that one on here yet?
No. But that's really funny, though. It's just funny to see that.
He's seeing the pictures. He's like, this video's coming. It's coming.
No. We're not going to do that. But
No.
my question for you is, what was the Philadelphia music scene like in the 80s? Because you often hear of L.A., of course. That was the big place in the 80s. But what was the scene like in Philadelphia in the 80s?
Well, in the Philly, South Jersey area where we were all kind of living and playing and dreaming, it started out when I graduated high school, or even a little bit before. Cover bands were the thing. I mean, there was really not a big original scene as far as rock goes. I mean, maybe you had a little bit of new wave stuff going on, and you know, some other pop stuff, but for the most part, the heavier rock stuff was not really there yet. There was no real scene for people to play much originals. A lot of the cover bands, and I'm talking like the most kick-ass cover bands, not just like playing bullshit top 40. I mean, there's, I'm sure some of your other guests that might be from the area have mentioned a band called the Dead End Kids. They were basically like the East Coast Motley Crue before Motley Crue.
Wow.
And they,
That's awesome.
if you saw them in a club, you were impressed and scared shitless at the same time. I mean, they looked like a bunch of cracked out zombie vampires. Wow. I mean, these guys were the shit, though. They were playing heavy David Bowie, they played the song Midnight Moses by the Alex Harvey Band, which nobody probably even knew, and now we all thought it was one of their originals. So you had bands like this playing killer tunes. I mean, bands that were doing a Yes show, a Genesis show, a Zeppelin show. This band specializes in, whatever it may be. The Dead End Kids were doing Bowie, heavy stuff, Thin Lizzy, all kinds of stuff that was basically not really the thing of the moment.
Wow.
So they were sneaking originals in between their cover tunes, but they were making the cover tunes their own thing. So this is like a kick-ass trend that kind of started, and that sort of evolved into the ability for bands to finally put their own stuff out there and to play shows solely based on their original music. Now, this was all happening at the time from like 80 to 84, maybe 83, 84. And then, Cinderella obviously were one of the first bands to get that interest from outside of town, or from, other people. Like Gene Simmons had come in contact with them and wanted to help them out. And of course, Bon Jovi were in town recording their second album, and they walked into a club after recording all day, and they saw this, this scene happening there. And that's kind of what lit the fire a bit about the whole thing. And as it was stoking that fire, it kind of fired up all the local musicians and bands, and everybody just started getting into this. And that's kind of how the scene evolved right there, then and there, while we were all kind of in it. And so we just worked on originals and just kind of tried to find our niche, and finally had a few clubs that we had to go out of the way a bit to, like the Galaxy Club in South Jersey, and there was a few venues that were open for that kind of thing, all original music. And so we tended to sort of go in that direction. You couldn't play everywhere. It wasn't like, oh, downtown Philly, man, it's real hip, and they're like letting all these heavy rock bands play. It was always kind of the underground. So that's where we started, and that's kind of where it all blew up.
I want to go back to that. We talked a little bit earlier about when you went to Germany. And, we talked about how music was shifting here in America. It was going from the 80s hard rock and metal to where grunge was just king. But yet overseas, those folks, even from back then to this day, they never lost their love for the kind of music that you play and that the three of us love so much. What is your opinion on why do you think the overseas audiences have always embraced our kind of music and never really turned their back on it? I kind of took it as a personal dig when grunge came in, because I was not a fan. I'm an 80s kid till the day I die, and so it broke my heart to see that shift here. Yet here's overseas just loving it as much as they did from day one. What do you think it is about overseas where they just embrace this music forever?
Well, I think firstly that they really didn't get as much, nearly as nothing compared to what we had at that time. I mean, places like Germany, I mean, they got a lot of shows, a lot of European bands, but a lot of the bands that were huge in the States were so big in America that they wouldn't come over here because they would, either lose a ton of money or lose a lot of momentum on the foothold that they had in America. So you had some bands that would do it. I know Iron Maiden, for example, was a band that always from day one went to every place in the world that they could, and that's why they are what they are today. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky enough to do a tour with them in '87 when I was in the band Wasted, and I saw how that the whole machine worked, and a lot of bands from the 80s, glam era or whatever like that, unless they already had something happening in Europe, they didn't really want to go there, So I think that that the Europeans being late on catching up with a lot of that is another reason why they are still sort of into it, because they're like, just keep giving us more, what we can get, what we missed out on at that time, because all they saw was MTV and Los Angeles. You want to say hi?
Oh, who's this? Hi.
This is Yanis, my son.
Oh, hi there.
Hi.
Say hi. Can you hear those guys?
Is he gonna be a musician too?
Hi.
Are you gonna be a musician? Gonna play the drums?
Now,
Yes.
cute kid.
Very cute.
Thanks.
Have you stayed in close contact or any kind of contact with Pete before his death?
Not real close. I tried to see him. I saw him more when he was still in UFO and still getting over to tour in the U.S. once in a while. That was, yeah, hi. That was the last time, actually, we had a formal meeting, that I went to a gig and hung out with him and stuff like that. I think that was on the Walk on Water tour when UFO played in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And but then he lost his green card and kind of got banned from coming over. So when I was making the rounds in Germany, I ran into him in around Hanover somewhere. He was just hanging out at a festival one day that we were playing on, because he was working in a studio in Hanover. And that was the last time I saw him, actually. I didn't get to see him in England or anything like that. And unfortunately, I would have liked to had some more contact with him.
Yeah, definitely a huge loss in the music scene.
Yeah.
In the music world. Forever, Pete Way, which was, for our viewers out there, and we have some people in the chat room, he was supposed to be in Fastway with Fast Eddie Clark, and then that never developed, and I guess Eddie Clark just kept the name. But
it was a contractual thing that really just didn't work out, and Pete had to kind of bail on the whole thing. But sometimes those things you should have worked that out before you actually started to get into it. But it's a shame, man. Pete was just an awesome dude, and no matter what people say or the things that he did that were not so awesome, it's like I was blessed to come into the music business with a guy like that.
Right.
And sorry. Okay, buddy, you gotta go.
He's taking over.
Yeah, he's the star of the show.
Bye.
So let's talk. Let's talk. Well, if you have more to say about that, please do. But then after that, I want to get into the last couple of Doro albums, if we could.
Yeah, I just want to say that for me to play with Pete Way and Paul Chapman in a band, first band that I ever kind of really got into professional music with and made a record on a major label, was a huge thing for me, being a UFO fan and just living in England and recording there and hearing stories from all these guys and just experiencing all that. Kind of set me up for the whole Britney thing, because it was like that didn't really necessarily blow my head off, because I was already sort of had my feet back on the ground, but Pete is missed, and Paul as well, and what a shame that they're gone already, but what a great legacy and body of work. When men were men, those guys were true fucking pioneers of rock and touring and music, and that's just a great thing.
Well, before we get into Doro, I did look up that Yardbarker has listed Britny Fox as the in the 20 greatest hair metal bands of all time, and you guys landed in number 16.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
That's a
That's
good
pretty
deal, man.
cool.
Who was number one, by the way?
I didn't look. All I cared about was where Britny Fox
That's
was.
right.
All right.
That's right. So let's talk about, and please correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff. From your previous interview that I listened to, it sounded like 2020 was going to be a very big year for Doro. Sounded like you guys had the Monsters of Rock cruise lined up, and then the M3 festival. Are you guys going to be doing a lot of dates that were supposed to happen in 2020 this year and in 2022?
Well, this year is still kind of like, not really happening. I mean, we're not
Okay.
able to come to the States, unfortunately, so we're missing out on M3 again. Hopefully, they'll throw us a bone and let us come next year. So there's a few, negatives in that sense that we've had like a German tour postponed like 3 times. So that's probably going to happen in like December of this year. And we have a tour of the UK booked with Michael Schenker
Awesome.
in October. So we're hoping that that'll stick. But there's so many things that need to happen now, which is like, getting work visas and getting in the country, vaccinations, who's got to do this and that, what kind of paperwork do we need? Plus, it's not only the COVID thing, they've had the Brexit thing, which affects bands coming into Britain and coming out of, so it's just like a lot of stuff like that. But one cool thing is we've actually had a couple, because Europe is a little bit tightened up still, they're basically like, for all the bands that couldn't get here from further out places, they're sort of adding more local bands, so we just got added to the Alcatraz Festival in Belgium, which is only going to be having like, European bands or German, Belgian, whatever, who can get there without any kind of big hassles and stuff like that. So we got a couple additions to what we originally had, which isn't that much right now. I think we have like 8 festivals this summer, and we're just making the best out of it. Doro has been keeping busy with new music, and we also have a live album DVD coming out, which is the Warlock, Triumph, and Agony 30th anniversary shows that we did a few years ago at Sweden Rock and a couple other festivals. So, she hasn't slowed down at all. It's just a matter of, how much we can play, and when the gates are down, we're just going to go full tilt like always.
Tell me this, during the obviously the coronavirus killed major concerts and festivals for a year, but in that time, so many musicians that we've talked to and that we know have done the file sharing, from one place to another, and you just record. I mean, have you done a lot of that yourself?
Not too much. As you see, I have a 2-year-old, so I've been basically just enjoying the time at home with my son. And I did a couple, Doro did like an unplugged stream concert that we did a while back, and I did a few drum things for a few people, but I haven't done all that much because I just, like I said, have limited time, and I really don't mind at all that I've just been home to share, my son's life every day, which is pretty cool. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say, wish Dora a happy birthday. She just recently celebrated her 57th birthday on, looks like June 3rd or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's great.
So
yeah, man.
Well, let me put up a couple of the Doro album covers, and I believe these are the last 2. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. The Doro, Forever Warriors, Forever United. Now, that thing, that came out August 17th back in 2018, and it charted in the top 10 in Finland, Germany, and Sweden. And then this album cover on the left called Magic Diamonds, that thing has 56 tracks on it. Am I correct?
That's correct,
wow.
yeah.
Holy
man,
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I know, she just kind of went into the archives and picked a bunch of tracks that she wanted to, give a second go at, and there's some live stuff on there. She is just obsessed with packaging and putting these things together for her fans, and she really loves doing it, and that thing has just got like something from every era and something for everybody to check out. But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, she's nonstop, so she's always kind of keeping it going.
She's huge out there, and then she's got the title of the metal queen, so she's a big name out there, and she does a lot of cool stuff. Like, she recently did a song, well, not recently, but not too long ago, did something with Udo. Have you worked with Udo or anybody like that out there?
Quite a lot, actually, since that, she's known him forever, and they're basically so close friends for years, being both from Germany and both from the same sort of era of metal. And yeah, we have had Udo out as a special guest on many of our special concerts. I think we had a 25-year anniversary show that he came to, and was, he sang a couple songs with Doro, and then we got to do a couple accept songs.
Uh-oh. Oh boy.
Yeah. Getting close to bedtime.
Yeah, we're not going to keep you much longer. Matter of
fine.
fact, well, I'll just ask you kind of a goofy question. How good is your German?
It's pretty shitty, actually. It's kind of embarrassing, and I'm actually taking another thing that this mess of not touring has allowed me to do was to actually finally take a real German course.
Wow.
And now I can really read and write, and not just sit there and try to learn by a book or ear. I mean, I'm actually like back in the classroom trying to really have that shit absorbed by my old, mushy brain. And it's not easy, but it's and it's also cool to have a 2-year-old, because I can basically learn with him, and like ball and blue and all kinds of words that just the easy stuff. So yeah, but it's people ask me, how can you be in this band for that long and still not really speak German that well? I can get by.
Yeah.
I can travel on my own, or go, order a meal, or buy a train ticket and do all kinds of stuff like that. But I mean, when it comes to the grammar and the real pronunciation and stuff like that, it's a difficult language, especially for me. I've never been like a dude in university studying languages or anything like that. I mean, anything I've learned, I pretty much had to learn, be self-taught, at drums included, and so it's not easy, but it's I think there's a thing where most Americans come here and they just, so many people speak English that they're just like, oh, cool. Yeah, man. So anyway, yesterday I was down, blah, blah, blah,
wow.
blah.
Right.
But as with any country, I think they really appreciate it when you try to speak the language.
Did you learn the German swear words first?
Oh, all that stuff.
Because it seems like, I mean, I'm from Southern California, and I knew the Spanish swear words before I knew anything else.
Yeah, it's important.
Absolutely. I mean, I can talk about the need to masturbate and whatever else you want. I think people get a kick out of it, teaching you, at that time, like, the Americans, hey, say this, or say that, and you're like, oh, okay, drunken, and you say anything, and then you find out what it means, and you're like, holy shit, good thing I didn't get slapped in the face or whatever.
Do you foresee any scenario, at any point in your life where you might move yourself and your family back to the States, or do you think you're in Germany for good?
I don't I never put anything off the table. I mean, I probably should have moved here 20 years ago when I really just joined the band, but I waited all that time because I had more, on the breaks that Doro had, I had a lot more work in the States, but I could see us, depending on what happens, I don't want to like uproot the little guy too bad, so that's the main thought. But I mean, anywhere, somewhere else in Europe, Italy, or to come back to America if things, chill out and things get, nice again, and anything could happen. But I guess whatever kind of opportunities present themselves, I guess, I would follow if the timing were right or whatever. But I do miss my family at home. And that's tough, but if we were able to travel freely, that wouldn't be such a big deal. I'd probably be back over there, a bunch of 20, 50 times like every other year, so it wouldn't really matter. But right now it's very extreme, but I could see it happening, or even coming over and living there for a couple years just to experience it.
I want to take you backwards to the Save the Week video.
When you ask him that question, then I'm going to pull him forward again.
Okay. Well, tell me what you remember about the Save the Week video.
Let's see.
Because I got some cool little trivia for you.
Okay. Again, we went to, I think we did all the 3 videos. Yeah, all 3 videos from the first album were all done in California. And I remember we had rented a bus for the day, and we were trying to recreate that live on tour thing. We had a lot of live footage from the Poison tour that we were intercutting, and we were driving down some highway in the LA area that was not finished yet. I don't even remember which one it was, but we were doing some of these scenes on an empty highway, which was pretty cool. And then we set up the gear and did the performance pieces. And
okay, well,
but other than that,
I have a friend, and of course I was at the Poison Britny Fox concert here in Tulsa. Some of that video from Save the Week is shot here in Tulsa at
cool.
She's in the video, and some of it was actually filmed under a highway here in Tulsa.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she was in the video. She informed me of that today.
That's so cool.
So
cool.
That's awesome.
That's great, man.
I didn't get a chance to go back and watch it because it was kind of last minute, but I thought that was a neat little connection.
Yeah, man. Which arena was that?
That would have been probably the Tulsa Convention Center or Expo Square Pavilion. I'm not sure which. I don't remember. It's a lot of bong hits ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wish I had bong hits as an excuse. My brain's just fucking pickled for life, man.
That's funny.
I need some embalming fluid in my brain.
Hey, what's everyday life like there in Germany where you live? How different is it from the United States for you?
It's not that much different. There's some things that, could be an annoyance when it comes to convenience, for example. I mean, we're not in a huge city like Berlin or, Frankfurt or something. We're close to Frankfurt, but we're kind of out in the country a little bit. The city isn't too humongous or anything, but there's things that could be very inconvenient, like stores closing way too early, and what else? I mean, you can drink beer on the street, which is cool, and things that are awesome. But like Sundays, nothing is open. So if you need to do food shopping or whatever, you got to get your ass to the store on Saturday before 9 o'clock at night. There's no like shopping at 2 in the morning like I used to do at home. And
how does the German food compare to the food in the United States?
Well, German food is pretty excellent if you like hearty meals, like, obviously, it's a very meat-based diet. But I'll tell you, since I've been coming here 20-some years, and it's like the vegetarian scene has like exploded here finally. When I first came here and I was like on this healthy diet, and I was like, I only eat the white part of the egg. Could you possibly make me a? And they're like, what? You know, why the hell
The
would
male
you
Karen.
do that? Yeah, and then and so, you know, I learned the hard way that I was just gonna like have to skip doing anything, you know,
Right.
with my diet that was like gonna bum people out or whatever. But the food's good. It's tough to find like Italian food everywhere is really pretty good here because there's obviously a lot of Italians, but Mexican food sucks so bad that it's like don't even try because it's like,
Jeez, what a bummer.
Yeah. Hey.
yeah, it really is a drag. There's no Mexican people here, so it's really a bummer. But you know,
You should start your own podcast and call it Johnny Dee's Traveling Tips.
There you go.
yeah, I mean, I could do it. I could definitely do it. Another thing is like sushi's pretty hard to find. A lot of the things that you really crave sometimes, but then there's a lot of things that you can't get over there. That you know, like beer. You know, beer for days and super cheap beer. I mean, it's like almost illegal to have beer cost, you know, too much unless you're at an event or something like that. Like they keep the beer prices down because they know like everybody drinks beer and
Right.
certain things that are pretty cool and convenient as well.
Well, hey, we're gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask him a question. I was going to pull him forward
Yeah.
to Udo again, or not Udo, but Doro. John Levin, who also played with Doro, and this was, I guess, prior to you entering the band, where John Levin was Doro's guitar player, and then he come and joined Dokken. We recently had a Dokken concert here, and Janet got to get up and jam with John Levin, but I would just think how amazing it would be if you and him ever got to like record or play, you know, in a show together, because you guys are both amazing.
Oh, thanks. Well, I don't know. I've actually never met John, but I'm sure I will at some point. And yeah, to play with anybody at any time. I mean, I love the jams, and we've pulled people up on stage before, like Doug Aldridge and whoever, you know, is up for it. But yeah, I mean, if John's, unfortunately, we never play a gig with those guys, but maybe, you know, on one of these boats or one of these shows at some point, that would be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy for sure. Do you guys have anything else before we let Johnny go?
I'm good.
Okay. Johnny, is there anything that you'd like to promote or just say to your fans that are watching? You're getting some really nice comments in our chat room.
Just hope to see you soon on the road or at a show. And yeah, check out my website, johnnyd.com, or my Facebook if you want to send me a message. I actually love to, you know, to chat with people and meet people on tour and stuff like that. I was wondering what's up with Tulsa, because I haven't played there since the show that you mentioned with Britney back in the day. But I heard they have like an Eddie Trunk statue in the middle of the city or something.
Well, that's funny. That's funny that you say that, because our friend Doug Burgess puts on a lot of the 80s shows here in Tulsa. And Eddie Trunk's been coming to host them for, I don't know, what, 3, 4, 5 years now.
Yeah, it's like Eddie's second home here.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was wondering what that was all about.
It's true.
Yeah, it's kind of a trip, but it's very cool. So
I actually saw
you got to get Doro out there.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
think about if you guys got to the States, man. Man, what were like 13 Rocklahomas in now? You guys probably would have been playing at least 3, 4, 5 of them.
For sure.
I think because of the timing of some of these festivals, like we always get on these Eurofests and then we miss out on all the stuff in America. It's kind of the opposite of what I was saying earlier, when bands were not really coming here and the Europeans really kind of salivating for bands from America from that era, because they just don't get it, and that's because people are busy working in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I seen you play at a club here in Tulsa called the Windjammer, and I don't know if you remember that club. It was here in Tulsa. It was a little smaller club, but
is that
it was
with Britney?
Yes, with Britny Fox, and I was
With
front row.
Tommy
I think I was
Patterson.
18 years old back then.
So this is back in the 90s because the club closed in the early 90s.
Yeah.
That sounds like the Bite Down Hard tour, I think, with Tommy. Was Tommy Paris singing?
Yep. It was a different
Yeah.
singer. Yeah.
I do remember
Tommy.
that, yeah.
We're really impressed that you did your homework on Tulsa and that you knew about Eddie Trunk. That's pretty awesome.
Well,
Do you know about the Sex Pistols story though?
I don't know.
Well,
You
they only
wanna tell
played
me that?
they only played 7 U.S. shows, and one of them was at a Cain's Ballroom here in Tulsa, a historic place. And Sid Vicious put his fist through the wall in the dressing room, and they now have that piece of wall framed in the office.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Well, you're definitely one of the good guys in metal, and we really thank you and appreciate your time. You get that little guy to bed and take a load off. And thanks again for talking to us here on Tulsa Music Stream. We wish you all the best. Please stay in touch with us and let us know how we can help you promote stuff down the road.
And if you would, there's a lot of people in the chat room that are talking to you right now. Patty Brown says, love and miss you, Johnny. So there's a lot of people in here that are talking to you. So if you could come in the chat room when we're done with the interview and, I don't know, hit like or something on their comments, it'd be really
great.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
man.
much,
I'll
Johnny.
check
It's
it
been a
out.
pleasure.
Man, you guys
Yeah,
take
thank
care.
you guys.
Thanks so much. Keep rocking. We appreciate
Good
you,
night
brother.
to your little boy too.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Be
Thank
cool,
you.
and I'll stay in touch. You guys do the same.
Please
All
do.
right.
Thank you so much. Good
Keep
night.
rocking. Tell Dora we said hi.
Will do.
Bye, buddy.
Peace.
All right, another good one.
Yeah.
We're on a roll today.
He's a very nice guy.
This is without a doubt the longest Tulsa Music Stream episode we've ever done, and we're not done.
Good thing we stayed home last night and rested up, huh?
Yeah, you were trying to get us to go out. I was like, "Get thee behind me,
I wasn't
Satan."
trying to do anything. I was
Joking.
I was
Just messing with you.
I don't yeah, okay.
All right. So I have to, so Cory Reynolds is also being very cool and accommodating. Are you guys good on your bladders? You want to
No,
just
I'm gonna need to go ahead and take care
Really?
of that. Yeah, absolutely. But let's go ahead and talk to Cory.
Let's do it.
Listen,
Okay.
I mean,
Just do Cory.
I
Hold
can
on.
do it right here next to us.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I'm
We'll
gonna
get you a bottle.
No,
I'm
I got
gonna-
I got 2 cups right here.
just so while we're waiting for Cory to come in, and he said he was going to keep an eye on the episode, so he knew when to come into the room. How are you guys feeling about tomorrow? We've got the big Motley Crue tribute show coming up tomorrow. Do you guys feel prepared on your material? Oh, there's Cory right
Well,
there.
You know, I don't know what's going to go down, but all what happens with Anderson, Mike Anderson. But if he doesn't, if he's not well enough, then I'm going to have to do Louder Than Hell and who knows what else.
Well, listen, we've already got Cory on here, so I'm going to cut to him right now. There's our friend Cory. Hey, Cory.
Hi, Cory.
Hey, how you doing, man? Welcome to the Tulsa Music Stream. It's your
What's
debut.
happening? Yeah, man. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear us
All
okay?
right. Yeah,
You know-
fantastic.
We went from L.A., I believe, to Germany, back
Right.
to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We're,
Worldwide.
we are cultured. We are cultured.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, great job on everything that you guys are doing. I mean, just the whole concept of this has just been really intriguing for me, and I know a bunch of other music lovers, and I know that you guys are just doing it for the passion of it. You
Yes.
have great attitudes, and
Thank
it's just
you.
really cool. I'm proud of all of you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so
man.
much. We really we want to use the opportunity to spotlight our local heroes, and also now that we're getting the national guys on, we just want them to know how much Tulsa loves them and their type music, and that they've got a good fan base here. So we're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone with what we're doing here, and we're so appreciative of having you come on with us. The first thing I want to do before we kind of get into some deeper stuff, so you're in 2 projects. You're in CrashFunk and you're in Early Morning Snakes. Maybe for the folks that are watching that aren't familiar with either band, tell us a little bit about both bands and what both bands have coming up.
Sure. So CrashFunk is kind of a very diverse range of music. I mean, we'll do things from like Prince and Bruno Mars, and then the next thing we're playing like some Beatles tunes and kind of rocking them out a little bit harder. And the guys in the band all sing, and then I just kind of chime in when I can. But it's really neat to have like that 3-part harmony going on. You got Super Darren Edwards and JP Childress both singing, along with Aaron Campbell, who's just and a huge amount of talent. You know, he's 10 years younger than me, and it's cool with Aaron because I've known him since he was like 10 or 12. I gave him lessons when he got started, so it's neat to see him kind of come all the way up. Now we're playing in a band together, you know. That's really neat. And but really, really dance oriented, not afraid to try anything. And the Snakes are really based on like a 70s guitar band, but we'll also do some throwbacks from other bands like the Crows or Rival Sons that, you know, definitely played a lot from that era of stuff. You can hear it in their sounds, you know. So, but yeah, both I kind of get the best of both worlds because, like, you know, Snakes will talk about a song, and we'll be like, okay, I'll learn it, then we'll go and we'll play it, and we'll CrashFunk, we'll get together and we'll really hash it out, you know, and really work on it. So it's kind of neat to have the two dynamics, you know, the different players. So,
and I've seen you play with both those bands and, you know, different styles on your guitar, and it's like, wow, the guy knows a lot of different styles. But then I see you doing the you know, the tributes, the Eddie Van Halen tribute, and then the Ozzy tribute, and you're up there doing some Zakk Wylde shit, and I'm like, wow, this guy is really fucking good.
Oh, man, you're too kind. I'll tell you, I was I begged for No More Tears, and then I sat down and tried to play it, and I was like, oh shit, because I thought they were all pull-offs. Right. And I was like, oh no. So I had some students that I was working with, you know, and I was showing them because I couldn't play it. And I was like, damn it, man, you know. And so, but it was kind of neat for my students to kind of see me kind of go through it. Like, I got stuck at one tempo, you know, and I was still like 15 beats away, you know, like where I really need to be per minute. And so it was a great learning experience. But that's what's great about these tributes. Not only do I get to hang out with people I've never played with before, but every single one of them have pushed. And the only reason I really think I got on the first one is I was being a smart ass. Homer was talking to somebody about it. I said, well, man, I'll just bring a power drill and play pound cake. He's like, you're in. I was like, huh. You know, and so that was really a joy.
You nailed that. That was when you brought that thing out. I said to myself, "No way!" And then you just nailed it. Oh, I love it. By the way, our previous guest Johnny Dee is in here watching you right now. So you're. Oh man,
I was just trying to find that cassette tape. You know, I wanted to have some show and tell for you guys. I have that cassette tape.
Which one?
Girl School and all that good stuff.
Oh, Britny Fox, right?
Oh yeah, man. And it was so cool to kind of hear. The show today has just been outstanding. So
hey, Cory, for our viewers and people that don't know, what inspired you to play guitar? What band was it that you said, wow, man, I want to do that?
Well, I got to say, Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses just changed everything for me. I bought Permanent Vacation down on 15th Street. It was, I think it was Sound Warehouse.
Right.
And so I was in there and I was looking at Poison's Open Up or Say Ah and Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation. And I'm like 8, you know, my mom's with me and my mom's like, you better buy the Aerosmith. And so, you know, $7.87 later, you know, I was just enthralled. But, you know, it was just, and to this day, you know, I'm still captivated by the way Joe Perry thinks. And then, of course, Slash is just a monster, you know, so.
That's awesome.
Les Paul guys.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Cory, you've made no bones about the road that you've traveled, and you have certainly come out of some tough times, and you've been an inspiration to the people around you.
And it's a perfect time for you to be on our stream, because I've just, you know, reached a milestone in my life for 3 months sobriety, and you know, you were one of the first guys, you know, that I reached out to. Well, really the only guy that I reached out to because of, like I said, when I was watching you play at those tributes and seeing you live and hearing a little bit more about you, you know, I said, man, I would watch your expression and how you're enjoying yourself playing on stage. And that was one of my biggest fears, was how would I react on stage being sober, because I had to loosen up. I had to, you know, have an edge a little bit. Take the edge off with, you know, a few beers here and there. And then my problem was at the end of the night, I wasn't able to shut it off. But you were the one that I would reach out to, and I just wanted to to have you on this show, and it was just a perfect timing kind of situation. So I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for being the one that that you helped me through some things that I needed to be helped.
Well, congrats on the 90 days, man. I mean, that is absolutely huge, and I think that it's really, really cool. And I don't think that it's by chance that this program popped up for you at this time, because a huge believer up here, and first and foremost, I give all the glory to God. I tried it on my own, hospitals, rehabs, you name it, and still just never really got anywhere until I just, it was after my last hospital stint and on the floor of a rehab center out here on Skelly Drive that I just gave it all to him. And it ever since then, with prayer and guidance and reading the word like crazy, it changed everything. And it's funny that you mentioned the expressions at the tribute shows, because with all the work that I put in on Ozzy, I know that had a lot to do with it. But while I was playing that solo, I knew he had it. And I just started smiling. And I was watching myself play it, because I really want to be somewhat of an inspiration to folks that are struggling. And Scott, you're not the only one that has reached out to me. A lot of our brothers that are out and about have reached out, and you can't do anything except for explain to somebody what works for you, and for me, there's a lot of full circle moments that are happening in my life that God's showing me, hey, you're on the right path. Rudy put something out really well. He said, I even wrote it down. Based on trust is how successful you will be. And it seems like a lot of folks trust him, and at the point of my demise, nobody could trust me. I played with some really killer bands, and they just couldn't trust me. I couldn't trust myself. Some of my best friends in the world were an uninvited guest. I played T-ball with Brock McDonald. We were about 3 or 4 bands together, and he couldn't trust me, and I couldn't trust me. Our last show, I wake up on my couch drunk. I can't believe I woke up. I was supposed to be on stage in 7 minutes, and it's at a casino across down there on the river. And I was like, man, and it's just like, even that final moment, I still couldn't be on time. Wow. And what's really great is we've actually got a reunion show set up for July 31st at PJ's on the South Side.
Oh, that's great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we haven't played together since that night, so that's just another one of those moments. And same thing with the Snakes. Gordo and Thrasher had to give me the boot out of Deuces Wild because I couldn't hold it together. And so when I got that call, my heart was just like, just exploding. Just that they would trust me. Now. So,
that's cool.
You are a true inspiration. Isn't it funny that if you really think about what we're all doing, those of us who do practice sobriety, here we are.
Has their...
Oh, I don't. Yeah. Do you have your well? It's okay. We'll get through it. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just let you guys talk because I think I'm the one feeding back. So anyway, we just want to give you big props for being sober in a very non-sober scene, or what we do. We're selling drinks, and then we're not partaking in them. So mad props to you, and thank you for being such an inspiration on that deal.
Thanks.
Absolutely,
it means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you excited for the Motley tribute tomorrow?
So pumped, man! I restrung my Les Paul last night. At rehearsal, it felt a little spongy because we're all going down the whole step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of our tunes is Hooligan's Holiday, so that's drop C.
Wow.
And so I threw some 11s on my guitar last night, and then I started thinking that was a mistake. I just played through them this morning. I was like, no, I'm going to leave them on.
Wow.
But you practice something for weeks ahead of time, and then you change your strings 2 days before.
Right.
And so we'll see, but it felt a little spongy, and I know the adrenaline's going to be pumping and all that stuff. But I get to do some songs. I get to play with Travis Kidd. I'm going to be doing some of the background stuff while he's killing it on slide.
Yes.
And he's a local hero of mine. I remember years ago when I was drinking, he was down at the Gray Snail, just him and a guitar and a little looper. He was the first guy I remember really doing solo shows with the looper. And just being a little shit, I said, hey, man, why don't you play On With The Show by Motley Crue? And he did it.
Whoa.
He did it, like right on the spot, some crew from 1981. So it's really cool to be able to share the stage with him, amongst others too.
Absolutely. I mean, these events are just so cool, from the Van Halen to the Ozzy to the Motley, because it's a bunch of musicians that otherwise don't play together.
Right.
And it's just like, it's a family, man. Everybody gets along. There's no egos. There's no attitudes. We're all happy to see each other, taking pictures, having a good time. And so that, not only are we doing it for a good cause, because I believe the money goes to some cancer, but it's just good for the soul for all of us too. So,
and we got to give huge props to Tom Green. I mean, I know a huge reason was we all were kind of gigless. And so for him to continue these out, and from my understanding, this is probably the last one for a while.
Yeah,
but
sounds like
to be able to be a part of 3, I'm just beyond blessed. But I mean, it's so cool for him to do it, because I mean, you guys all know he's given us the rock star treatment. He doesn't need to do that, and he's just being so cool about the whole thing. And
well, I mean, when you're a rock star, you kind of need that treatment.
Oh, stop. Just quit. Just stop it.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but
it had to be said.
I'm glad you did, buddy. Thank you for doing it. That's why we're a good team.
Right.
I got y'all's back. Don't worry.
Cory, we are looking so forward to seeing you tomorrow and hanging out with you. And you're such a good guy.
I'm glad you made it.
I mean,
I'm glad you're on this one, Miss Jan. It's really cool that, I really thought you should have been on the other 2 as well. So I'm really glad that you're going to be on this one.
Well, I just love.
She's shy.
Oh, I just love watching them as a fan. That's really what it is for me, because I'm in the scene, but I'm a fan of the scene.
Yeah, she figures she plays out so much that it's cool to give other people some stage time and everything, and just go out there and watch them. And so far, every one of it has just been a fucking home run.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
so
definitely. And this one sold out too.
I don't expect anything less tomorrow. So
no, me neither.
Right.
We're going to let you go. Thank you for coming on with us. Make sure everybody out there supports CrashFunk and Early Morning Snakes, and support Cory Reynolds, because he's just a good human being, and we love him and we value him in our scene. Yep. Cory, thank you for being on with us today.
And when you see him on the stage tomorrow, get your camera out and film.
That's right.
Capture it.
Well, you're too kind. Could I do one cheap plug before I get
out?
Sir. You bet.
Okay, so at the end of the month at the Cimarron, Friday night, the Early Morning Snakes are playing, and then the Saturday night right after, that weekend, same weekend, CrashFunk's playing. So you can come out and get a full dose of both bands and just have a killer time with great people. The staff there is awesome.
I believe that we're booked together in September at the Shrine, CrashFunk and Mudflux.
Oh yeah, we just picked that up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of a crossover show. 2 cover bands.
I believe
and
it's
2
your
original.
birthday party. Am I right?
I actually, my birthday is the day before, and then my guitar player Jake's birthday is that day, and I think Sprout from Green Country Irate, his birthday is right around there too.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool concept. You don't really hear about that much, where you got 2 originals and 2 covers. It might just kind of break up, if someone's just getting tired of something or whatever, and then they hear a song that's familiar, and then they get tired of hearing songs that they're familiar with, and then hear something.
It's the best of both worlds. Absolutely, it is.
And whoever's still standing at the end of the night will have a big jam.
That's right. We'll do Louie.
I think it's going to be you, Scott, and me standing at the end of the night.
That might be true.
It'll be on either way.
That might be true.
We love you, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Cory.
Right.
You too.
Have a good one, man.
Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, my gosh, y'all.
Now is it time for the break song that we skipped?
Well, we did it. We did the break song while we,
You said 5 minutes. I was gone 5 minutes.
It's okay. Can we gut it out through
let's
this?
do it.
We have breaking news for you before we get out of here.
Dun.
We have been on the air for more than 2 hours.
I know.
It's a marathon.
But
we should be like, donations should be ringing in. Please donate at Cash App.
Right.
At
Exactly.
Money sign.
Tulsa Music Stream.
Please help us out. We just got a new camera. We haven't hooked it up because we haven't had the time.
That's right.
We all want Big Macs.
But after this episode, we will definitely have our new camera in play.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be cool. Hopefully, it will be. I'll look a lot better because I'm all about looking better.
You look fine.
I think that you look beautiful.
Any chance of looking better, I'll go there.
If you
know?
guys
It's
would
like,
wear bass like I do, you'd look really tan.
It's like, hey, there's this pot of.
I left my bass in the car.
It's like, hey, I got 2 pots of,
He
gold
said-
over here.
he
This
said
one's
pot.
halfway full and this one's full. I'm going to go, well, both of them are great. I'm going to go with that one that's full.
Okay, well, I need you to do me a favor, Scott. I need you to call Pete Webb on his phone. Pete, we're getting ready to call you. He called us when we were heading out from Motley Crue rehearsal the other night, and he told us something really neat. And he said, I would like to come on the stream with you guys and announce this. And we were so honored, that the fact that people think it's a thing to be on this goofy little show we do it's very humbling, and we're very appreciative. And we're going to call Pete Webb right now from the Normandys so he can talk to us about what's going on.
He probably forgot.
Well, no.
It's such a long show.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing, Pete? This Tulsa music stream.
Pretty good.
Are you at a party?
Oh, no, actually, we're out in downtown checking out the
bikes?
Tulsa Tough to see exactly the logistics of us getting into our show tonight.
Oh.
But what it actually turned into is us just drinking beer, walking around on the sidewalk.
Uh-oh.
That's a good plan.
Well, watch out for those bicycles. I don't know if they're still running around down there, but.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I think that's going to be going till pretty late this evening.
Wow.
But anyway.
Yeah. Well,
so we're here casing the place out, making sure we can get where we need to go.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
important. That's important.
Well, it's great to have you on our show. We had a very long day of interview, so you're our last mile.
You're our cherry on top, Pete.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you're the cherry
Well, that
on
sounds
top.
like fun. I saw that you had some pretty cool guests, and then you dumbed it down for me.
Oh,
right?
stop. Now stop that. Now listen, you told us something super awesome and super exciting, and we've got the flyer ready to go. I want you to tell us what you have going on, and then I'm going to put the flyer up, okay?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So the Normandys got the email the other day that we are going to be the direct support for Steel Panther for both the early and the late shows.
Nice.
Wow.
At Kane's Ballroom
Hell
on the
yeah.
23rd.
Dude, so I was going to ask you that. I didn't. You get both shows?
Yes.
That's
The early and the late. And the flyer should say it, but my recollection is that the early show is 5:45, and the late show starts at, I believe, 9 o'clock.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
could be wrong on that, but
That's
anyway,
that's
so
pretty cool.
Yeah.
and the Normandys are a bunch of old guys, so that's a lot of work for us to play an early one and a late one.
Right.
you're going to have to pace your beer drinking that day, aren't you?
I know, yeah, we'll have to drink something else for breakfast.
But you know what? What a cool gig to have, because they're fucking hilarious,
Oh, my
man. I
gosh.
Yeah,
mean,
you better get your
Oh yeah.
it's a comedy show as well as a concert. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
you better get your
Absolutely.
crude words on in top form
Top
that
form.
night.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we have those. We always have those in the
In the arsenal,
line
right?
for just such an event, but our shows are always entertaining and fun, and we try to mix it up and sometimes we wear costumes, sometimes we have Bigfoot come make an appearance, so we do little things in our live show too that keeps it entertaining and upbeat, and we'll probably have some surprises in store for you on that show as well.
So
Right on.
you said you're playing tonight? You guys have a show tonight?
Yes, we're playing at the Vanguard. It's actually the official first show for the Vanguard since the pandemic.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations.
we'll be joined by, thank you. And we'll be joined by our friends in Grind, which
Nice.
you guys know them.
Yep.
The Grind crew. And then a band from Oklahoma City called Don't Make Ghosts.
Don't
Okay.
make
And
ghosts.
then, yes, an amazing band. We played with them last night in Oklahoma City, and just great guys, great music. It's a live show unlike any other, and then we'll be introducing R.R. Williams, which is a Tulsa band that features members of were ex-members of the Agony Scene, Merlin Mason, Penny Mob, The Shame, and one of the members of the Normandys is in that band as well.
Wow, that's awesome, man. So it's going to be a rockin' night at the Vanguard. Everybody needs to make sure they get out there and check out the Normandys and all the other bands playing.
And I personally want to congratulate you guys for landing Steel Panther at the Canes Ballroom.
Wednesday, June 23rd. That is
we appreciate that very much.
That's a big deal, man.
You know, we'll get you guys back on our show and kind of have a cooler, longer interview with you guys.
Definitely.
But we're kind of tapped out for the day. But we did definitely wanted to broadcast and promote your show and have you on and let people hear what's going to go down. And we'll definitely throw it in our group. You know, you can join our Tulsa Music Stream group and throw on the flyer out there, and that way people will know.
That's right. Pete, thank you so much for talking to us. Thanks for talking to us, and thanks for choosing our stream to be the place where you made this announcement. And now it's out there, and we're all going to get out there and see the Normandys and Steel Panther on
Normandys and Steel Panther.
Be a great show.
Canes Ballroom. Throw up that flyer one more time.
You bet, buddy. Hey, we'll talk to you real soon. We'll do a real interview soon, okay?
Look out for those bicycles now.
Sounds great, man.
All right.
Y'all take care, and we'll see whoever gets out here tonight. Just wanted to give a forewarning that the Tulsa Tup is happening until late, so get here early, find you a good place to park, and let's have a good time.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man.
You guys take care and rock them out, man.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Here we go, into the fourth quarter, man.
Hey, everybody.
Overtime.
Give me a fist.
That was the longest.
Give me a fist.
I felt like it was like, you know, what was that show, Jerry's Kids, you know? You turn it on.
The telephone. Yeah. So
I only almost cried once.
You know, there was, how they always have those people and they're like on their phones and stuff in the background.
But now let's go to Scott Squires, who's going to tap dance for us. And
I feel like the people on the phones.
Right. Well, thank you. How much would you love to donate?
Oh my God. Well, I can say this: my stomach's empty and my bladder's full. So we got two problems going there.
Yeah,
you know?
we got bladder problems for me.
Bladdermouth.
You guys go ahead and go. I'll shut it down.
No, we got to talk about the cruise show tomorrow a little bit more.
Yeah, we do.
I thought we did.
No,
do it again.
How much shit do we
Can we stay on for? Let's go for 3 hours,
it's
guys.
It's like this, man. It's sold out. Tom had added 50 extra tickets, and I believe
he needs to add 50 more.
I know they were sold out in like 15
Just
to 30
take out
minutes.
those tables and add 50.
But what a great show it's going to be. I was down there watching a lot of the rehearsals, man, and everybody sounded so good. And you guys are in for a real treat. If you did not get a ticket, then man, you're fucked.
Well, hey, they can always just try to get in line and just sneak in. That's what I did.
That's what we did when we were kids, right?
I mean, just because you have the internet nowadays doesn't mean you can't be a rebellious.
Well, I think Travis Arnold has some bass cases you can sneak some people in.
Just run in. I mean, there'd be a lot of just hide.
What are you looking forward to the most tomorrow? Singing what song?
You know, I'm looking forward. There's a lot of cool songs I don't mind doing, but doing Don't Go Away Mad with you, her, and Mark and Jason.
Yeah.
I think that's just so cool because I've never done anything like that. So.
Well, yeah. So I mean, it's always.
Well, I know actually we have when me and Jana got up and did some songs with DMS.
When we forced ourselves onto your stage.
That's Todd asking us.
Yeah.
What? Oh. Hey.
What about you, Jana? What are you looking forward to tomorrow?
I am looking forward to seeing everybody that, because like you've said countless times, it's just the camaraderie and the love in the room is tangible, and you can feel it. And there are no attitudes. Everybody is cool to everybody, and it's just a lot of love.
I believe the love is not only tangible but edible.
Delicious.
Absolutely.
What does love taste like? Is it vanilla or is it more chocolate?
Tastes like pie.
It tastes like bitter. It's really bitter, to be honest with you. It's really bitter tasting.
Bitter love.
You know, Johnny Dee brought up Mexican. That's where I'm going for.
Bitter love.
All right, so we need to wrap this up then because we're all hungry. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Jenna.
Okay. Well, real quick, thank you guys. God, this has been a long one, and thanks for hanging in there with us. I just can't believe what just happened. Rudy Sarzo, that was
He was
unbelievable.
amazing.
You know, we talked about how we don't watch the streams back all the time. I'm watching that one back for
Right,
sure,
right.
as well as Mr. Johnny Dee.
I just can't wait to see him freezing up.
Did you all die? I died a little bit on the inside.
I was like, please come back. Please come back.
You know what?
Please
This
come
is
back.
my absolutely thought. I was like, go figure. This is, of course,
This is
this
the
was
one.
going to happen.
And Johnny Dee was great too, man. All the way from Germany.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
And then Cory.
And then he
he's so
came in the
awesome.
chat room. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you to all of our sponsors.
Yes. Let's
Identity merch,
Yep.
D&B concerts.
DEB concerts. There's no and.
I like saying and. He's just
Don't do it.
DEB concerts. He's got the stage at Rocklahoma, so make sure you go visit
Don't.
the DEB concert stage.
We don't know that one yet.
Okay.
Because remember we might be moving that one up.
All right. So
Yeah.
real quick, like Scott said, thank you, sponsors. We appreciate all of you. Thursday, June 24th is our next episode, and that's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Central. Episode 34 with Chips Enough from Enough's Enough and Alex Grassi from Quiet Riot. That's going to be an awesome one. There's that T-shirt. We need you guys to get on our online store and buy one today. Buy it for a friend. We may do a new design soon. I've been talking to Todd. We've been talking about new designs for
I want to talk to him about Underoos.
I think Scott's gone. I think he's out.
I'm Ghost.
You're Ghost.
There he is.
I made Ghost.
Saturday, July 17th, 1 p.m. our time, episode 35, Mike Kroger from Nickelback. And then we're figuring other stuff out. We're just going to figure it out.
Yeah, you
Figure it
know.
out.
Thanks to you two, because it's always it's fun to do anything musically, but when you do it with two of your best friends and you get to talk to such gracious people and man, 2 hours seemed like 2 hours. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but thank you guys, and thank everybody for
Thank
tuning
you.
in, because this is really fun for us to do, and
It
we
is.
appreciate that you
It
guys
is.
take part in it and ask questions and so
I agree with
just
that.
thanks to all of you.
I thank you and Scott for your excellent prep work. Thanks to Teresa Gaddy for helping us out with
Thanks, Teresa Gaddy.
stuff that you guys
New-
aren't
new
even
team.
seeing. You don't even see it. It's behind the scenes stuff that holds
Oh
our
yeah,
crap together.
you can't see what's going on over there.
But it's a good thing.
There's a lot going on.
There's
We
a good
even
thing.
got people under the table,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like the Rainbow
Yes.
Bar and Grill.
Wait,
That's
what?
right. They're rubbing our feet.
Holy crap! I'm not getting any of that. What?
No.
God, I'm so lonely over here. God, y'all are
I'm so
sick.
lonely I could cry.
Let's go over next door and get some food
Let's do that.
and some insulin.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you back here Thursday, June 24th at 6:30 p.m. for episode 34. We love you. We're gonna get the heck out of here. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow at the Crew Tribute. Bye.